speak loudly enough. My name is Kristen Root. I'm a friend of Inge's. I'm the person that has written a book about Inge's life and story and created this little video that you'll be watching this morning. So we're really excited to have all of you here today. Inge's feeling very shy and overwhelmed, so be very kind and gentle to her. Before we get started, though, we have some elected representatives with us who are here to present citations to Inge, awards, as we're calling them, for her experiences. I'd like to bring up Senator Kelly Dooner.
Well, good morning, everyone. It is honestly so remarkable to see you all here on behalf of Inge. Her story is, honestly, I couldn't even begin to understand the challenges that you overcame and the struggles that she had to go through, and you are just such an inspiration to so many people, so many children, and so many women. For her to come out on top and be here in the United States of America and to be able to just share your story, I don't think you'll ever know how inspiring it is to so many people here and so many women. You are just, I can't begin to tell you how amazing you truly are. So we have an award on behalf of the Massachusetts State Senate that I'll read, so we can just hear it and so does everybody else. Official award. Be it be known that the Massachusetts Senate hereby extends its congratulations to Inge in recognition of her being one of the last surviving German wolf children and for your bravery and perseverance to escape East Prussia during World War II. And be it be further known that the Massachusetts Senate hereby extends its best wishes for continued success. That this citation be duly signed by the President of the Senate and attested in a copy thereof transmitted by the Clerk of the Senate. So on behalf of the entire Massachusetts State Senate, we are just so proud of you and we're so honored to be here to support you.
We also have Evan, who is Rep. Gallagher's aide.
Hi everyone, great to see you all this morning. I'm Evan Francis. I'm the legislative aide to Representative Dennis Gallagher, who represents Bridgewater and Raynham in the Massachusetts House of Representatives. Unfortunately, the representative has a hearing today and a full session, so he couldn't be here with us, unfortunately. He extends his deepest regrets for that. But I'm here to present an award for you on behalf of the Massachusetts House of Representatives and State Representative Dennis Gallagher for your incredible bravery and your amazing story. I mean, it was one of those stories when I looked at my email box and saw Kristen's email about presenting an award for you today. I was truly inspired and amazed, and it almost brought tears to my eyes, and I was really, really excited to be able to join you today and to join all your friends and family here in Raynham. And so on behalf of the Massachusetts House of Representatives and State Rep. Dennis Gallagher, here's your award.
And I'd also like to bring up a friend of mine, Plymouth County Commissioner Sandy Wright.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for coming in today for this an unbelievable woman. I met Inge about a year and a half through Kristen, and I heard her story, and I was just so overwhelmed and just felt just so much passion and love for this woman, for what she has gone through in all her years during World War II. After I met her, I went out, I think I told everybody that I know about her, and a lot of people didn't even know about the wolf child, and I was just so overwhelmed to talk to them and tell them about her and what her story was, but I certainly couldn't express it the way she has lived it and known it. So I am very honored today to be here for you, Inge, and give you a citation from Plymouth County Commissioners. to you. So, Inge, I'm not gonna be able to start to say it. In recognition for your preservation and overcoming the tragedies of war as a German wolf child of World War II, and in sharing your story so the world can learn from your strength. Congratulations.
I just want to give everyone a little bit of a historical context. Inge was living in Königsberg, Germany, which was a geographically separate part of Germany in East Prussia. And as we all know, the Germans and the Russians were the ones who were engaging in war in that area. Russians were slowly progressing across East Prussia through Lithuania and all those different countries, closing in on Königsberg. Königsberg is now Kaliningrad, Russia. It's right on the Baltic Sea, and it was the jewel of the East for Germany. So Russia was eager to get their hands on it. They came in, they destroyed the city, and the Germans who were left in Königsberg were basically allowed to starve to death. The adults were put to work, the children were just left on their own to their own devices and left to starve to death. So the horrors that Inge experienced that I have come to be acutely aware of, having conversations with her, are truly unimaginable. This little 20-minute video gives you a rough idea of the timeline of her life. Doesn't go into all the detail of the things that she experienced, but they're in the book, and the book will hopefully be published sometime soon. I am working with a literary agent who's going to be selling the book to a publishing company, and then the publishing company will make that book available more broadly. So that's the goal. Inge's an incredible woman, a remarkable woman, very humble, and the things that she has endured and the life that she now lives are just so starkly different. So it's an honor for me to be able to present this film to you, and it's also an honor for me to be the person who is able to write and record her story. So thank you all for being here. We're going to turn this on. I apologize for the lighting in here. Hopefully you can see and hear the film well enough.
In the spring of 1945, the Allies, led by the United States, Great Britain, and the Soviet Union, defeated Germany, thus ending World War II. Countless books have been written about the unimaginable suffering and tragic deaths of tens of millions of people during the war. Many stories, however, remain untold. One such story is that of the orphaned East German children known as wolf children. When the Soviets conquered the German territory of East Prussia, German nationals began to evacuate. Later, they were forcibly expelled. Families were ripped apart and parents were separated from children. Many died. Wolf children is the name given to a certain group of orphaned German children who were left entirely on their own to survive at the end of World War II. They were called wolf children because of their wolf-like wanderings as they scrounged for food and searched for shelter. The total number of wolf children can only be estimated. Some say there were upwards of 25,000 of them roaming the woods and swamps of East Prussia and Lithuania. This is the story of one of those children.
My name is Inge. I was born October 6, 1935. I was born in East Germany. The city is called Königsberg. And I lived there through the war.
Königsberg was the former capital city of East Prussia. It is now called Kaliningrad, Russia. Königsberg was located on the southeast corner of the Baltic Sea and was the easternmost large city in Germany. The city was heavily damaged during World War II. Few traces of the former Königsberg remain today.
needless to say, at one time I remember we were shipped out to the country, but then for some reason we ended up back in the city again.
Inge was the oldest child and grew up with a younger brother and sister. Her father was in the military and also did odd jobs.
I remember him fixing the aluminum pots, fixing a pair of shoes, so I guess trying to make ends meet. But that's all I know. And then he did go work doing something on the farm.
Inge led a happy life in Germany until World War II broke out.
I did go to school first. Second grade was a little bit interrupted. Not that I minded, I kind of liked not having to go to school. But then the third year was no good. I never finished. I then even never began, really. It was just in and out, and the sirens and the bombs and everything else.
Her father became sick during the war and in 1943 was sent home to die. Destruction was everywhere and there was no medical care for those who were injured or ill.
So then he got sent home. But by then, I heard him talking that there was no more doctors or hospital. Everything was already bombarded out. So he had to stay home and die at home. She did. My mother wouldn't let us go into the room that he was laid in.
During this time, Inge's mother was forced to go to work to provide for the family. In the morning, she would leave each of the children with a small piece of bread to last until she returned. Leaving their younger sister at home, Inge and her brother would spend the day scavenging for food. Inge was only 9 years old.
So my brother and I would go and looking for potato peels that somebody threw out, pick some bones, chew on those, stay by a bakery. I remember this bakery, they used to cut up little pieces and sometimes give it to us kids, like a bunch of kids waiting, so bad. And the Germans were still controlling. They gave us some food, but everything was rationed. We didn't have a lot of stuff. Bread was still there, and they gave you some kind of stamps. Use your stamps up and down.
In 1944, Königsberg was decimated by 2 British air raids that dropped bombs which destroyed buildings and wreaked havoc in people's lives.
It was bombing again all the time. The tyrants would be bombing, and bombing would be falling. So there was no school. There was everybody hid in the basements, the big buildings and stuff. And then some of the buildings crumbled in with people in those basements had to die. I heard them saying that people ate each other. They were desperate for something to eat, so I guess they ate each other to stay alive for a little bit longer.
The horrors of war continued.
Nighttime would be getting up. The tyrants would rain or howl or whatever. And then we'd all have to go down the basement and shiver as kids, be waking up. Running from one basement to another, having to wet blankets over. And one time I remember wearing a mask to smoke the ears. You couldn't see the sun. It was awful.
The Battle of Königsberg was one of the last battles in the war. It started in late January 1945 when the Soviets surrounded the city.
You never know when about stuff. They mainly give, like bridges, factories, all the important things for countries around. Hospitals, everything that would hurt a country, that's what they did. And when a battle started, to come out, that's when really all hell broke loose. It was non-stop, and then after that the war was over.
On April 9, 1945, after 4 days of violent warfare, Soviet forces captured the city. Food was scarce, and the German people of Königsberg were starving.
But then the Russians took over. They took over the country. We were desperate. One time, the people found a young horse on his side, so they all were fighting for a piece of the meat. And I didn't get any. I was too late. And so, guess what? All the people that ate it, they all died. It was contamination.
Inge and others resorted to scavenging.
So some Russian guy would be eating in every wall, waiting for the head and the bones to pick it up when he throws it away.
They begged for food.
Had a can, a good-sized can, like a coffee can size, and go from from door to door, see if they have any leftovers. Sometimes they give you a little bit something, sometimes no.
And they stole.
One time, at this market, walking around to see what you can steal. So these two guys are talking, and there was a couple pieces of butter. And they're talking to each other, and they walk by. And they walk by again. Why don't I just take it? I did. I took the piece of butter. I started to run, it was slippery and wet, winter time. It fell over, the butter fell over me. I looked back, nobody saw me. Oh, that's good luck. And then I went back and I stole a piece of bread too. Took a lot of risks to having a piece of bread.
By June of 1945, the Soviets began rounding up Germans and putting them in camps. They were forced to walk hundreds of miles with no food or water. Many did not survive. It is estimated that 15 million Germans were brutally driven from their homes.
And the Russians would take a horde of people, us, and they on horses, and we would all have to walk. Anybody that didn't make it, they kicked them to the side and let them die. The Russians separated us. They took a lot of kids and put us like behind fence, somebody with guns around watching us.
Concentration camps were reused as detention facilities for ethnic Germans. Men were captured and used as forced labor. More than half died in captivity. Women and children were forced into other camps. Inge was entirely on her own and didn't understand what was going on.
Once they came, they gathered everybody. But then after a while, I don't know what they did with the grown-ups. It was only women, after the war. There was no men. So they gathered all of us, and some people didn't make it. There was no, I don't remember giving any food. And I don't know where we ended up. My mother wasn't there. I don't know how. I don't even know that. So the grown-up maybe got separated from the kids. And so we was kept in captivity. But when the guys there that weren't supposed to be watching us, maybe they deliberately let us go, who knows. We escaped and we ran away, some of us, but everybody on their own,
Inge had heard there was food and relative safety in Lithuania. She and another child escaped from the camp and were able to sneak onto a train with the help of 2 Lithuanian women who themselves were very poor, but had traveled to Germany to bring food to those in need.
So those 2 ladies put blankets on top of us so we get to go. We didn't know where we were going. Somewhere where there's bread. We ended up in Congress. So there I was alone, like a lot of kids alone, and I wasn't the only one.
Separated from her mother, brother, and sister, tired, hungry, and still just a child, Inge made the brave decision to return to Germany in search of her family.
At some point I went back looking to find my mother. I went there where I left where we lived, and I looked there and I found some people that I recognized I knew, and they didn't know. So I said, what? There's no food here. I'm going back on the train again.
Getting out of Germany was not easy. The trains were heavily guarded, and any German found getting on them was captured.
I know they're going to catch us and put us back again. So when the train stops, us kids go around and, hiding from the people that are going to come around and check. And when the train stops going again, I be jumping on it again. I don't know where I'm going again. Stupid, huh? It doesn't make much sense. As a 9 or 10-year-old, you don't know better.
Wolf children who reached Lithuania by train were called footboard travelers because they would jump on the steps of a rail car as the train was departing and ride on the outside.
So I ended up getting on this train on the steps outside. The train stopped a couple times, so another time by the next stop I almost fell off, I fell asleep. It was nighttime. So anyway, I don't know how I knew to get off here. Maybe I talked to someone else on the train, and And I ended up in Lithuania again, which made me happy.
Life in Lithuania was not easy. Inge was forced to go from place to place and take on work in exchange for food and shelter.
So then I started wondering, just go and ask for something to eat. Sometimes people feel sorry, they want to keep you, give you overnight. Sometimes they want you to, help a little. I was young, and I was small, I was tall. So digging potatoes and help them pick up potatoes, do little things like that.
She learned to survive.
Then I'd go again, look and see, okay. Maybe I'll go in the afternoon, I start asking if I could sleep overnight. And they give you a sack of hay and you sleep on that, give you a meal to eat. So then I did that all summer. You learn to save yourself. Maybe I dig a potato out, make a little fire, and I learned to cut the potato in half, scrape it inside out, and I put it back in and then bake it. But then they caught on to it, so I'm not supposed to eat the potato. So then I had to stop.
For almost 15 years, Inge relied on the kindness of strangers.
I stayed many places. I can't even remember all of them.
Those who helped the German children survive had to hide their efforts from the Soviet authorities in Lithuania.
Anything that you tell them about that you're against their communism or against Russian, or you couldn't even sing a song that has words that they didn't go for. So everything was strict, forbidden. So I stayed there 4 years, but it was hard.
Soviet rulers did not allow for the adoption of German children. Lithuanians risked severe treatment by authorities if they were found to be sheltering wolf children. Out of fear of being deported to Siberia, often those who took in German children prohibited them from speaking German, and many German children's names were changed.
They changed my name is Inge. They changed my name in Lithuania to Janina. They didn't like my name.
It's clear that much like not understanding the absence of men in the concentration camps, Inge is still unaware of the grave reasons her name was changed. She is, however, acutely aware of how fortunate she is to have survived.
It's a miracle on life. It is just a plain old miracle. When I think about it, my God.
Inge lived in Lithuania between the ages of 9 and 24. During that time, she encountered much kindness and generosity. However, as a young woman on her own, she also had some terrible experiences, sometimes at the hands of men she trusted.
Being a girl was hard.
When Inge was 21, she met a woman whose sister had recently married a German and was moving to West Germany. After having been separated for years, Inge was suddenly presented with the opportunity to be reunited with her mother.
My sister's going to Germany, she said. She married a German, she's going to Germany, she's moving there. So she says, maybe you can find your mother, Maybe you can get in touch with my sister and see what they can help you with. But that's how it started.
Inge learned that efforts were being made by the German Red Cross to reunite wolf children in Lithuania with their family members in Germany. Unfortunately, this was only an option for those who were old enough to remember their names and where they had come from. Younger children who didn't know who they were usually stayed with Lithuanian families because it was forbidden for them to return to Germany.
At that time, the Russians and the Germans had some kind of a agreement that if any family, many kids were younger, they don't know who they are. They probably stayed there. But if you knew your last name and if you remember anything, which I did.
With the help of friends who could read and write, Inge filled out the requisite paperwork and traveled alone to submit her application. Shortly afterwards, she received word from the Red Cross.
It didn't take that long. I got this letter and I said, now what? I don't know what it says. I put on German.
Inge sought out the local priest to read what was in the letter.
So I'm running down like crazy. I remember the feet didn't even reach the ground. I was going so fast. Yeah, he says you have a mother and you have a brother and a sister.
Inge was overjoyed. She learned that her mother and sister were living in West Germany. Years earlier, they had paid someone to take them there safely. In the 5 years immediately following World War II, over 15 million refugees fled Soviet-occupied Eastern Europe to the West. The number of people who died during flight and expulsion is estimated at anywhere from 500,000 to 2 million.
There was a time, you paid somebody and they take you to the woods overnight, and that's how they ended up slipping into West Germany.
Her brother was in the process of returning to Germany after also spending 15 years in Lithuania. During all that time, neither he nor Inge knew that the other one was there.
When I started, he was already back in Germany, this time in West Germany. But I found out I have a brother, he lived in Lithuania too. We didn't know.
It took about a year for everything to be processed, but then, in 1959, after 15 years of separation, Inge was reunited with her mother.
Oh my God, I cried for days. I was so happy. My mother and I was looking at each other and crying because I didn't understand the German anymore and she didn't know any Lithuanian.
She learned that her sister had gotten married and had a baby, and her brother was living in an apartment by himself. And now, once again, her life was changed dramatically. After wandering for years on her own, staying with many different families, doing odd jobs in return for room and board, Inge was again living with her family. However, she was forced to relearn her native language and find a paying job in order to survive.
So I didn't know, how the German system worked. Then I got a job in the chocolate factory. So I worked there, but I guess I told them that I'm gonna move to America. They let me go, but I didn't want to go.
Inge and her brother traveled to Lithuania to visit with the family who had helped reunite her with her mother. While she was there, she learned of a Lithuanian man living in America who was looking for a Lithuanian wife. Due to her limited prospects, Inge agreed to meet him.
I didn't have nothing. I didn't have no money. And there's no room, there's no chance of getting an apartment. One thing led to another. I'm thinking, what the heck?
After a few days, the new couple agreed to get married.
So they introduced us, and, I was very shy, always very shy.
6 months later, Inge arrived in the United States and joined her husband.
Well, I come over here, we don't know each other, really. We rented an apartment on our 3rd floor, and all these blinds there, Jesus, I feel like I'm in jail and I'm crying.
Amazingly, Inge and her husband were married for close to 50 years.
Took a little time, but he was a nice guy. Almost made 50 years. Married. Lasted a lifetime. I think it's a German tradition. You don't get married, you get divorced.
Now in the United States, and with only a 2nd grade education, Inge once again had to learn a new language.
And I came over here, again, a new language. I didn't know a word. Nothing. Nobody. I've been replanted many times.
Inge watched television and credit Sesame Street with teaching her English. She and her husband lived a modest life with their 3 children, but her experiences stayed with her.
I think it affected me a lot. I'm a good person. I hurt when I see somebody hurt. When I see something bad happen, I feel. I think it has a lot to do with the way the life that you've been living or through.
Not all wolf children have stories with happy endings. Of the estimated 25,000 wolf children, about 5,000 reached Lithuania and only a few hundred survived. None of these events were reported in the press because the official Communist Party line in Russia was that there were no Germans in those areas. They only became known to the public after 1990, when Lithuania regained independence from the Soviet Union and the wolf children were discovered. Almost 100 still live there today. Since the early 1990s, Wolf children have fought for German citizenship. They have their own association and are still hopeful that they will one day be able to learn the fate of their relatives, obtain German citizenship, and reunite with their families. In recent years, the Lithuanian government has granted compensation to those who suffered as a result of World War II, so Wolf children are eligible to receive a small pension. However, in German laws, the Wolf children are not mentioned. Since 1992, a memorial has stood in Lithuania commemorating the thousands of East Prussian boys and girls who lost their parents at the end of the war.
I'm just a lucky person, that's all. It wasn't meant to be yet. My time wasn't there. People play their lotteries. I would not be happy to have that kind of winning, so I don't play that. I don't play lucky for life. That's more, you know.
Inge has 3 beautiful children. They're here today. She has grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and her daughter, Bettina. I'd like to introduce her. She'd like to speak on behalf of the family.
Okay, this is on behalf of all of us. We haven't heard this yet. I'm sure that
I'm gonna say, I didn't give you permission to speak. But it's okay.
Okay. All right. Bear with me. Okay. Oh, boy, this is so hard.
Do we have to hurry quick?
I know. Maybe. Can I come up here? When my father's, she wrote my father's eulogy, and I ended up reading it. And saying, now it's like the same thing, but it's not.
Okay. I am proud and honored to call this woman my mother. Growing up, I would ask questions about her childhood, but didn't get very far because it was upsetting for her to talk about it. From the stories that I did hear, I always said that I wanted to write a book about her life. Fast forward to 2025, my wishes have come true. We were fortunate to cross paths with Kristen, who took an immediate interest in learning about my mother's past. After months of interviewing my mother with Kristen and hearing the historical facts from the country, countless hours of Kristen's research, a story has evolved. Although it has been said, and heart-wrenching to hear, oh, it has been said, okay. To hear all the horrific stories of her childhood, it has led me to realize how special and amazing she is. One adjective I can use to describe her remarkable, resilient, courageous, ambitious, determined, brave, fearless, hardworking, honest, sincere, giving, smart, and loving. And the list goes on. She is not bitter, but considers herself lucky. She decided to share her story not for pity, but to share a piece of history that you may never have heard about. War is not just a conflict between two parties. It affects many lives, innocent lives, and in the end, no one wins. She wants the world to know her story so that they can understand just how precious peace is.
wolf child is a term that was given to these German children that were separated from their families. And they were called wolf children because of their solitary wolf-like wanderings as they searched for food and shelter. So you've heard the stories of people saying they were raised by wolves and that sort of thing. That's not what this term means. Yes?
And when is the book going to be out approximately?
Well, my literary agent is actually talking with some publishing companies right now. My understanding that it takes about a year to a year and a half for that process to unfold, so.
Let us know.
We will.
Please.
Yes.
How long did Inge have with her mother after they were reunited?
Oh, that's a great question. Not long.
About a year.
Oh.
But she came over in the summers, like, so when we were little, Homer used to come and either stay with her or stay with her brother, so there were times that she would come and spend the summer. And she had a little bag of peanut M&Ms, that's why I could use that on her lap.
And if you're all wondering, Inge still loves bread. I think that's her favorite food.
Especially sourdough.
And if you probably won't know this, but it's actually to the day, today is the 80th anniversary of the end of the war, the Battle of Martinsburg. So.
That's why we chose today for this event. Yes, it was a 4-day battle that decimated the city, and that's when the Russians ended up taking over. That was the fall of Königsberg. Absolutely. Peter, come on up. Peter inherited Inge's shyness. So this is Inge's son Peter, her daughter Christina, and her daughter Bettina.
Peter was local here, and she was in Easton, so we're all nearby now. We all have grandchildren for you and great-grandchildren from him, so yeah, we're all extended families here. My husband's back there, and here's fiance's over there, Lisa and Andy are over there.
Family is very important to her. Yes. She did move to Florida for a short time. And then she just couldn't.
When the grandkids started coming, she had to move back here.
Great, well, if there are no other questions, thank you all so much for being here. And I will definitely keep Erin posted on the progress with the book. And I just want to say a special thank you to Erin for agreeing to host us today and to the Raynham Senior Center. So, thank you.